Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I'm gonna get you!
And I'm Gary, and today we're going to review and discuss The People Under the Stairs, which came out in 1991 from writer-director Wes Craven. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, the story follows Fool, a small 13-year-old boy whose family is about to be evicted. He gets convinced by a local hoodlum, played by Ving Rhames, to break into the landlord's house and steal a rare gold coin collection. Once Fool and Leroy break into the house, they become trapped, and the mummy and daddy of the house decide to hunt them down.
Wes Craven, one of the greatest icons of the horror genre. He has produced, written and directed a plethora of some of the most iconic horror films in memory. Some much more successful than others, but of course it's undeniable that Freddy Krueger and Ghostface have been cemented in the minds of everyone come every Halloween. Wes Craven also produced and made some lesser known films, like People Under the Stairs, maybe Serpent and the Rainbow, but it goes without a doubt that Wes Craven scared the shit out of a lot of people. Now, just like A Nightmare on Elm Street, which came from a true story conceptually, The People Under the Stairs also comes from a true story about two actual parents, a couple, that locked away all their kids in the house and never let them out. And it was actually a couple of burglars that came into the house and also never came out. So Wes Craven literally took that true story and developed it into this idea, which we have now.
Alice has been bad. Remember not to bruise her face.
But we're starting off with Fool. I mean, played by Brandon Adams. This guy, or kid at this point, has worked his goddamn ass off.
From being a toddler in commercials,
Yeah.
all the way up to today, where he's still working.
Yeah, he was there in Moonwalker, playing the mini Michael Jackson. I mean, this is how good this guy is as an actor. He was able to play Michael Jackson. You know, you also have Everett McGill playing Daddy. Everett McGill you might recognise from films like Heartbreak Ridge and License to Kill. Wendy Robie plays the mummy, and the mummy and daddy characters, they literally just came from Twin Peaks.
They were cast because of their sort of relationship in Twin Peaks. They sort of made the perfect couple for this deranged couple.
Yeah, and the fact that, I mean, not getting too much into the film too early, but they are literally your three main characters.
Yeah.
Mummy, Daddy, and Fool. You'll also get introduced to Alice later on, played by AJ Langer, but the three main, Mummy, Daddy, and Fool, it's like a really weird reverse Home Alone.
And what's great is that the main star is a child.
Yeah.
Now, in most horror movies, if you have your main actor or the main protagonist is a child, it sort of really does take away any of the horror. But to credit this film, this is one of the best films where it has a child main actor.
Yeah. I mean, just the simple setup of Fool being told by his family that they're going to be evicted. You know, you can tell by the set that they're in. The house is run down. You know, there are drug addicts and gangbangers on the stairs. You know, Fool just literally wants to get out, and it's...
On top of that, his mother is also dying of cancer.
Yeah.
So it's very grim to begin with. You could say that this film is almost a social commentary on sort of the ghetto, on the block, if you will.
Yeah.
With the fact that, you know, they've got no money, and you've got this, you know, incredibly rich landlord who controls all of the buildings and is just trying to get them all evicted so that they can just, you know, build up their empire.
Yeah.
And so that's what brings the characters to have to take action. And it is the life of crime.
Yeah.
Y'all been evicted. You gotta be out tomorrow midnight.
But why?
You're 3 days late with your payment. Fine print in the lease says you gotta pay triple, else get out.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you have Leroy explaining to Fool, like, you know, okay, we'd love to help out. We'd love to get your mother to a hospital, but if you got the money to pay for that. And if you haven't got the money, you ain't paying your insurance. So Fool, obviously at 13, you kind of realise that he doesn't want to get into crime.
He wants to go to medical school.
Yeah, he wants to become a doctor. But from where he's brought up, you know, he needs the money to help out now. And and it's quite heartbreaking when his mother is there and she's just like, you know, you are the man of the house now. That's a lot of responsibility, especially for a 13-year-old. So we follow Fool and Leroy and Spencer going to scope out this house. And oh my God, is it an evil-looking house?
I love the fact that they dress Fool up to go there and sell cookies, I think it is.
Yeah.
And just the mother, you just know that she is off kilter. Just from the way she acts, the way she moves around, the way she runs back into the house and closes the door and opens the little window hatch.
Yeah.
You're just like, what the... I just think that she is just out and out racist. I think she has a fear of coloured people.
Well, I mean, as the film would develop, she has a fear of literally everybody. But the fear is, you know, built up by the fact that she's very religious. Well, the family is very religious. Everybody that they don't like will burn in hell.
Some niggas robbed the store.
Again? May they burn in hell.
May they burn in hell.
Forever and ever in hell.
Burn in hell for getting free, and burn in hell for showing the way!
That's their favourite line throughout the film. Burn in hell, everyone's going to burn in hell. And their house is, from the outside, kind of looks normal, but then when you get up close, you realise that, you know, there's shutters on the window and they're padlocked from the outside. You're trying to stop people from getting out. Right.
And it gets weirder when you see them drive out the driveway in a hearse. You're just like,
well, yeah, you find out that the house is actually a funeral home.
That's right.
You know, an old funeral home. It's been in the family for generations. But this is the thing. The house itself is such an amazing set. I've always loved this film, and I've always been just surprised about how amazing the house is. Because, you know, once you go inside, you know, it does look kind of normal. You've got your front room, you've got your kitchen, you've got the bedrooms, you've got your bathroom. But then all of a sudden you seem to have really long corridors running all over the place. You have air vents leading all over. You've got the inside of the walls. You've got the basement. You've got the I'm guessing the crematorium that they used to have for the mortuary. And you're just like, it's just these two people and their daughter, Alice, in this house. Something's very strange.
Bad girls. Burn in hell.
So Spence has already gone in the house, and Leroy and Fool are waiting for him to open the door or to come out. They've waited long enough, and so they break into the house as well.
Yeah.
And they get attacked by the guard dog, Prince. It's quite a good scene, because that dog is a really good actor.
Yeah.
It's ferocious and terrifying, and Ving Rhames, he looks petrified when that dog's coming after him.
I love the fact as well that the dog will actually just stop. You know, there's that scene where they've just fought past the dog and they've got inside the house and they're looking out the window, and I'm sat there watching it like, okay, this is where the dog jumps up. This is where the dog jumps up. This is where and you hear Leroy go, he's just sitting there. That's actually more scarier.
Yes, exactly.
Than it jumping up at me.
You gone?
He's waiting right there.
I'm trying to wait there, probably.
So Leroy and Fool go exploring the house, and wow, I mean, this house, the furniture, it looks like it's come out of a different timepiece.
Yeah.
And, you know, most of the house looks decrepit. There's, you know, the windowsill is lined with corpses of flies where they've not been able to get out, which is kind of obviously, you know, the metaphor for the rest of the characters.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they go wandering around, and Fool checks the basement, and he finds Spencer, who's died of fright.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that always gets me, is the fact that Spencer goes in the house and then, you know, you're just like, okay, he's been killed. So you're expecting a bloodied corpse or, something. And then Fool comes across him and he's just lying there with white hair and a white face. And I can only understand that he saw the people under the stairs.
Yeah.
And it scared him to death.
I'm not buying that. But then I don't think Fool is either, because he's like, oh, gold coin, huh?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he just wanders off, and he doesn't really give a damn about Spence at
Well,
all.
no, he does. He tries to stop Spencer from being eaten by the people under the stairs.
True.
But he even says that line before he goes down to the basement. He says, like, I'm not stupid, and he goes to run off. So you're just like, yeah, don't go towards the weird noise. And then he gets to the top of the stairs and he remembers what Leroy said.
Or maybe you're just too chicken shit for this kind of work.
Yeah.
So he turns around and he goes back, and it kind of made me think about other horror movies where, we do sit there saying about, oh, that actress and what's she doing? She's running up the stairs, the fight or flee kind of attitude. And, when you're in that situation, if I was Fool in that situation, I'd want to get out of the house.
Yeah.
But you want the gold to help your mum. So which is more, your own life or your family's life?
Yeah, so it gives them an incentive to do what they need to do. But they obviously still don't quite know to the extent of how bad things are going to be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And this is it. That's what I love about this film is that it builds up the suspense and tension really quite well. You've already got the awfulness that Fool is living through. You've had a couple of shots of the landlord eating flesh and spitting out buckshot. You've seen their relationship with Alice, and it's very strange. And the fact that, Fool wasn't able to get inside the house and the mum was all awkward. Then Spencer's gone in and Leroy and Fool have gone in after it. And you're just like, okay, something weird is going to start kicking off all the way up until Mummy and Daddy come back. And Daddy goes and gets his gun.
Get back in the cellar, you little bastard.
I love the fact that Leroy hides in the cupboard and he's like, no, Fool, there's no room for you. He kicks him out. I'm like, it's a kid. Come on.
Oh, wait, I can over here. Obviously, we're talking about Ving Rhames. And at this point, he was very young in his career. You can tell by the earring and the hat. And obviously hadn't got to his Marcellus Wallace kind of
Stage of his
persona
career,
yet.
yeah.
But it's the fact that Leroy's got some really mad lines. Really quite...
He has some of the best lines in this film, but some of the best lines ever.
Yeah.
Maybe the president is going to make me secretary of pussy.
He should definitely bring those back. But it's the fact that Leroy, Fool comes out of the basement looking for Leroy, realizes Mummy and Daddy's back, and he runs up the stairs, and you see Leroy...
He looks dead.
He looks dead. This is it. He's got his head stuck in the air vent, and you're just like, okay, something's got him, and he sneaks up, Leroy, and he taps him on the shoulder, and Leroy's alive and scares the crap out of you. And I'm like, don't lie there like that.
Leroy!
Jesus!
Yeah!
Scared the shit out of me.
So, of course, the dog is chasing them around the house again. And Leroy is trying to wrestle with the dog, or he's hiding behind the sofa again.
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
sticks Fool out in the open. And then the dog just comes around the corner, and it's like a standoff. And then Leroy pops his head up from the sofa, and he's like, oh no! And this, I mean... Yeah, I'm jumping into my favourite scene already,
Yeah, it's
but
one of
this
mine
is
as well.
my favourite scene in the film because it's like, is Wes Craven attempting comedy here, or is this unintentional? I'm going to guess it's unintentional, but Leroy's got the dog biting on his arm, and you can see the obvious padding on his arm, so
Yeah,
he's not going to take any damage from the dog's teeth. And Fool drags them both over to the door, and he's already experienced that it's an electrified door handle. So he grabs hold of it and sends the electric shock through all of them to hit the dog. And they're all just stood there just going... It's just like... It just looks so stupid. But at least the dog, again, credit to the dog actor.
Yeah,
it played being electrocuted quite well.
But I mean, this is what I've always loved about this film, is that you expect a really, really scary, tense horror movie, especially from somebody like Wes Craven. You know, you're on edge. You've seen the rest of his films; they're all harsh, and then the comedy starts at you, and so you start enjoying yourself, which means you start enjoying the film, and you start to look past all the continuity errors and all the stupidity in the script and stuff like that. You just start to have fun, which is kind of very rare when it comes to horror movies.
Definitely.
Up until the point, I mean, they get away from the dog, and like Harry said, Leroy hides in the cupboard, and Fool goes and hides behind the corner, and the house is booby trapped. They've got a panel which will just shutter,
all the windows and doors,
and lock all the doors from the inside and turn all the lights off.
They've got an intercom in the house so that they can communicate to each other. They've got sliding the stairs that turn into a slide all the way down. They've got spike traps that come through the walls into the house. I mean, I couldn't help but get a sense of the Goonies when I was watching this film. It's like a grown-up Goonies film.
I tell you, it's like a grown-up Home Alone.
Yeah.
This is what happens when the parents get hold of traps inside the house.
Gonna kill you!
But Leroy is killed, and Fool is left on his own. And he starts to meet some of the people that are trapped inside the house, such as Alice, who, is just a prisoner. She explains that she sees no evil, she hears no evil, and she speaks no evil, and it's the only way that she can stay alive. The people in the basement are, as it turns out later on, children that the mum and dad have kidnapped over time, and when those children have turned against them, they have cut out the bad parts.
Some saw things they weren't supposed to. Others heard too much. Others talked back. Daddy cut out the bad parts.
And it's just like, fuck, I mean, this is further shown to you when you meet Roach. And Roach is one of the people from under the stairs who has managed to escape into the walls of the house and is kind of tormenting or taunting Mummy and Daddy.
I also like the actor. I mean, he's also done a large range of films. I always remember him as one of the characters from Twister.
Yeah, me too.
But I mean, he was nearly 30 when he was playing this part of a 14, 15-year-old boy.
Wow.
And also the girl playing Alice, she was also, I think, in her late 20s playing a 14-year-old girl. But they pull it off really well.
Yeah.
I really like the character of Roach because, again, he's like one of the Lost Boys.
Yeah.
And he's just got such a playful spirit about him, despite everything that's happened to him. I love the scene when he's pulled Fool into the walls, and then he fires his slingshot at Daddy, and he's just...
Gonna kill you!
But this is it. I mean, you're scared because you're hearing all these weird noises running around the vents, and you're just like, what the hell's that? And, Roach's scare moments are unintentional. Going back and watching the film again, you realise that he's trying to help them, but because he has no tongue, he can't speak. So they're obviously terrified of Mummy and Daddy, and then even more terrified by Roach. But then once Leroy's been killed, Fool is just like, okay, I'd rather hide with the guy in the walls than be killed by Daddy. And then once he meets Alice and Roach properly, and he starts to obviously look into the backstory of what's actually going on, Fool actually takes it upon himself to be the hero, which is fucking awesome.
Your father's one sick mother, you know that? Actually, your mother's one sick mother, too. Shh.
And then we get back to the real horror when we see Leroy's corpse being gutted open.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is gross, and he's throwing the guts to the people under the stairs. That's the only meal that they're getting. And then we see him chuck the carcass down into like a well of some kind.
Yeah.
And it's just all these floating corpses down there, and it's grim. It's horrible.
At the same time, as scared as I like to be by Daddy, when he dresses up for hunting, oh my god. Want to talk about favourite scenes? The first time, I will always remember this. The first time he comes running out in that gimp suit carrying the shotgun, I was literally like, what the...
He just goes around, he's blasting the ceilings, the walls, everything. I'm like, this is your house.
Yeah,
He's just shooting the shit out of it. Now, speaking of continuity again, I don't know whether these guys are just the best house cleaners ever.
Right, yeah.
But we've seen all these gunshots going off, we've seen all the dead flies everywhere, and it isn't long before the police turn up.
Yeah.
And the police want to look around the house. And it's spick and span. There's no gunshot, debris anywhere. All the flies have been cleaned off the walls.
Well, I mean, you talk about continuity. I mean, at this point when the police have been called, I mean, the police had already turned up that once when they'd seen the van parked in the driveway, which I was... that bit is... The whole film is kind of silly, but that bit was just absolutely stupid. Leroy and Fool are going in to look for Spencer and decide to drive a van...
Which has already been marked for a previous crime.
Yeah. Right into the driveway. So, regardless of when anybody's going to come back, or regardless of what time people are going to come back, they are going to see this really dirty van parked in this driveway, and Leroy just doesn't even think about it. But like I said, the van is there. Mummy and Daddy have come back from the shops. The police have turned up. They start questioning them and say, "Oh no, everything's fine." The police have gone off. And the film continues.
Well, they see the cookie seller boy outfit in the van, and which
realise
tips them off that there's someone else in the house.
That Fool's in there, but Fool manages to escape and calls the police. And in that time, I mean, by the time that Fool has escaped from the house, gone home, talked to his granddad, talked to his mum, then called
prove that there's the gold.
Yeah, you're looking at least a couple of hours. Yeah. And I get the aspect that Mummy and Daddy have cleaned that house or made it look normal.
Or they made Alice do it.
I
hate the way they treat Alice in this film. It's terrifying, especially, the mother when she comes in, she's like, "Where's your fork? Did you lick your plate clean?" And you're just like, damn. And then there's the scene where she's got her a new dress and she just manhandles her and brushes her hair violently. And then the blood splatter at the floor, and she throws Alice down, who falls over on her ass.
Yeah.
And then she's there scrubbing away. And it's just like... And then the bathtub sequence.
Oh.
I don't know, in my imagination, that it was much worse, because all I remember is that there was nothing but steaming hot water in that bath.
Yeah.
And when Alice is thrown into it, when she's screaming, I'm like, I know it's a practical effect.
Yeah.
But she sold me on that. That's petrified me of steaming boiling hot water. It's horrible.
Now get in that tub and scrub yourself! No! You want to get in, huh? Well, let me help you.
That's it. Kudos to the actress who played Alice, because, I mean, she looks terrified all the way through. You're scared of Mum, but then you're scared to leave Dad alone with Alice. I don't want to go into even think about what relationship they have going on there.
Shut the fuck up!
Ultimately, it builds up. Like I said, it's absolutely brilliant. Fool has managed to fight his way through the house. He's managed to get the gold off of Roach. Roach has sadly died, but it's such an awesome sequence. They've been chased through the doors by Prince. They've set off like Home Alone traps, and then Roach has been shot by Daddy, and Fool manages to escape, go home, do all of his stuff, and then while the police are there talking to Mummy and Daddy, he sneaks back into the house, and he has this awesome plan. He just has this awesome plan where he's just gonna fuck the house up. He's going to rescue Alice. He's going to set loose the people in the basement. He's just going to blow shit up. And Yeah, okay, people might think that at this point the horror goes out the window and the comedy comes back in because Daddy and Mummy are just completely retarded. But I'm always under the impression of, like a lot of horror characters, when they've got control of their environment, they are the scariest thing. But once their environment is opened up and people start to come in, it all starts to unravel. You kind of say the same thing about Freddy Krueger. Once he's in the dream, he's the master. He can control everything and everybody's going to die. But once you bring his ass out, well...
Let me see the brick.
Hold it. I think I hear something.
Bombs away.
So the people under the stairs, when you actually get to see them, they're freaky looking. But again, they also do kind of have a Lost Boys feel about them.
Right.
And props to the special effects, because Wes Craven wanted them to look malnourished. He wanted them, to have these big black eyes where, they've had no daylight ever. And so that they kind of changed and deformed under these conditions, especially under the barbaric treatment of Daddy. And when they break out, they kind of just want nothing but vengeance for their mistreatment. Yeah. And it's kind of like a bizarre siege where they just come out of these small tiny cupboards. Yeah. And they come out through the walls, and you're just like, it's like a zombie attack of some kind because they're cannibalistic. Because they start eating Mummy as soon as they get their hands on her, and it's just like, that's horrible. And fools just let them all out onto the streets. These cannibalistic underground.
Well, I
don't think they're all as quite playful as perhaps Roach was.
No, I think that they still had their issues.
Yeah.
You would obviously be psychologically messed up after being tortured by Mummy and Daddy, but they obviously learn to respect Fool because I think they're not stupid. They still have their human sides in there. They understand that, they've been tortured by Daddy and they've been forced to eat human flesh, and they'll survive. That's the main thing. They'll survive any way they can. But I think they realise that Fool is obviously trying to help them, and this is why
they go to protect him from Daddy towards the end.
That's it. And then obviously they break out to protect Alice as well. And it looks like they eat Mummy, but it turns out that they actually just slit her throat and then throw her down the stairs. And then in a weird way, kind of kneel down around her, and I suppose kind of feel sorry that Mummy is now dead because they've been taught to love their Mummy. And now they've had to kill her, so they're kind of a bit off-put. Yeah, okay, they do escape at the end, but, they'd either go and hide in the sewers and become the people that live in the sewers, or they'd probably go and get help.
I do like the scene where Fool is... he's found the gold stash and all the money. Yeah. And again, it's just like, wow, that's...
Scrooge McDuck's safe.
But I'm like, but why is it in the basement, like, with the people under the stairs? Maybe I guess that's...
Safest place to
put it. Yeah. But I do like the setup that Fool puts all these coins in the candles, and as the candles are burning down, the coins are dropping, which is the distraction that Fool needs to get Daddy in there. Now... Again, continuity, we see sort of the same coin drop a couple of times. Yeah. And you're looking at all the candles, you're like, these coins are dropping consistently. Yet when you see them, it's like, none of these candles are going to drop for like hours.
Yeah.
But I like the setup for it. I think it's a cool idea. And surprisingly, there's boxes of explosives. I'm like, well... And as Fool says, it really was a very stupid place to keep your explosives. Now... The bomb, he does set off the explosion as well, which kills Daddy, yet nobody else. I'm like,
I love the fact that Daddy's also set up dynamite on the vents around the house so nobody can sneak around the house. So when Fool sets off the explosion in the basement,
it starts a chain reaction.
And you see all the people outside like, what the fuck?
I'm tired of fucking around. So either put the gun down now or kiss your ass goodbye.
It blows all the money and the gold out into the street. And so, yeah, I suppose social commentary, it's like, yeah, bring down the man and all that kind of idea. But to me, it's just the end, an awesome finale to just a fun horror comedy.
Gotcha.
As I've said, my favourite scene already is the electrocution with the door. But other than that, I really like all of the scenes with the dog, Prince.
Right.
When he's chasing Roach and Fool through the gaps in the walls.
Yeah.
The scene when the dog is sort of come through the vent and Fool is on the other side, pinning the dog down with his feet.
Yeah.
And the scene when Fool's again being chased and the dog comes around the corner and he punches the dog in the face. I you know, after seeing Cujo and seeing other, you know, violent dogs, Prince, this one is, you know, it's up there. And I felt tense and quite fearful for the characters when this dog was chasing them.
Yeah.
So I always remember those scenes. And of course, the steaming hot bathtub, just,
Yeah. Let's not go into it.
not maybe favourite scenes, but the most memorable.
Most memorable. I have quite a few. I mean, any of the lines from Leroy when he's explaining just life to Fool.
13th birthday's unlucky anyway. Too old to get tit, too young to get ass. Fuck out of the way.
It's just brilliant. You can see why Ving Rhames has just gone on
Yeah.
to do really, really good acting from this point. The electrocution of the dog, yeah, Gary's already covered it. It's freaking awesome. Daddy, though, some of the lines from Daddy are just brilliant as well. Like when he's screaming into the walls, "I'm gonna get you! I'm gonna get you!" It's just so fun because you want to be scared by this guy, but he sounds so stupid that you just want to kick his ass. But he's got a gun.
They'd killed off all the other comic relief characters, so he became the comic relief.
No, like Gary said as well, the boiling bath sequence is just stuck in there. I think it'll always be with me. But one final sequence is where Daddy's getting kind of creepingly close to Alice, and the dog is chasing Fool around the house and comes up to Alice's door and starts barking away. And Daddy, in his complete amazing stupidity, just opens the door and he just screams,
Shut the fuck up!
and then Fool runs into the room behind Daddy and punches him right in the nuts. Like, yeah! I highly recommend The People Under the Stairs. It's a Wes Craven classic. I know a lot of people probably might not think that, especially with films like Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream. But obviously, the first ones of those series really, really work. The series themselves kind of get better and worse as time goes on. Wes Craven had such a career. Like we said, Last House on the Left, The Hills Have Eyes, Shocker, The Serpent and the Rainbow, People Under the Stairs. This film shows that Wes Craven wasn't just a one-trick pony. No. You know, he had a really, really good talent when it came to scaring people, and a really, really good talent as just a writer and a director, and as a director for actors. You know, he gets the best performances. The best performances out of everybody he worked with, and you know, it's just a shame that we have lost him. But I will always remember him, and this film will always make me remember him.
Of course, I recommend The People Under the Stairs. This was a film I caught early in my childhood, way before I was even aware of who Wes Craven was, and of course, being a huge fan of film, Wes Craven has just got a lineup of films which are just fascinating to watch. A lot of people have said that Wes Craven became incredibly complacent after some of the Scream films, and then the Scream series has continued even into television. Yeah. So Wes Craven's legacy is going to live on forever. Some of his films are a lot weaker than others, and The People Under the Stairs isn't as well known as some of his other films.
Yeah.
And, critically, when the film came out, it wasn't a success. But that's not to say that this film does have its issues. But I'll tell you, it's incredibly enjoyable from start to finish. It doesn't have to be a great movie for you to really enjoy it. And I rewatch this film sort of, every so often because it is such a good film to put on during the Halloween period.
Yeah.
If you're a horror fan, this film will already be on your shelf. And if it's one that you've overlooked or missed, check it out. You're going to have a good time with the people under the stairs.
I don't know which one makes me sicker.
May they burn in hell.
Forever and ever in hell.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.